I'm actually at a hiking trail that's one of my favorite trails here in this general area. It's been almost 6 months. Here I live in the land of the what I like to call the 5-month winter. Sometimes more winters than others, like last winter, as we are in a deep solar minimum. And also increased sensitivity to the sun, which we're closer to. I myself at the moment am reacclimating to being back off the grid. A close friend visits once a year around the same time, spring, and I get a break from the full-time isolation. What I do is pretty unique. To be a single guy who's gone his own way in more ways than one, in more ways than many others. Going without basic infrastructure, going without a full-time work week, but also, as a result, going without the luxuries that come with the on-the-grid lifestyle. So each year it also seems to be an annual tradition. I could see my car, by the way, from here, several miles away. It seems to be an annual tradition for me to reflect on the individual reasons for going off the grid. There's several versions of this, and what it really is a simple keyword way to describe going off the grid from the mainstream Hive consciousness. Because I'm off the grid from the level of consciousness than the people that even live around me. You could even say that coming to places like this are necessary for a person like me to separate my own energy field from those that live in my neighborhood. So I've been without the internet for several days. In fact, some days where I've recorded a video, there's been people coming and going. This time, I have the whole park to myself. So we'll continue to walk and talk, and then we'll have our feature video up on the top. Some things, though, in the free flow that I'd like to hit on is find a spiritual practice that works for you, whether it's meditation, whether it's more or less changing the way that you think. It's really important that we examine the way that we think and that we identify programs. And you may have to be your own coach, your own life coach. You can see examples of what a life coach is from others online, motivational speaking. I'm not really attracted to a lot of the motivational speakers, though. Like when you just say, type in the keywords and you listen to somebody going on a rant of things that on one level are positive, but a guy like me who may be on a different path may require a little bit more. Because things that are just simply packaged towards the material aren't enough. I want to be free of the attachment to the material plane. Some would say, well, that guy ought to relax more. But I'll tell you what, there's good reason for me to be living the way that I'm living and to opt out from mainstream society. It could even be said that mainstream society already rejected me. And what I have been doing, actually, is applying Zen and the art of. As a result of the challenges that I faced, instead of continuing to stay in a pool of my own tears, if you will, or to be another typical angry homeless person marching through the streets screaming their head off. Or perhaps maybe I could be screaming my head off while filming myself. I've done a little bit of that as well. But I've always considered the things that I talked about, even when I was home free in Portland, to be valuable. And I know ultimately that I was living in my vehicle in order to have a spiritual experience. Zen and the art of being able to hold my center spiritually, even though I was knowingly and admittedly not trying to hide it. I was wearing the coat literally of a quote-unquote person with less. And as a result, I was set free forever from the city of my birth. That doesn't mean that I blame everyone or that I don't think fondly of some people that are still in Portland. But it was necessary for me to be set free. I was mindful then, as I am now. And that was a part of an experience. Even when April 2015 came around, I realized that a cycle was completing itself, a cycle of time. And I've been noticing this pattern. And I keep saying to my audience, and many people will find my videos in the future, one of the more specific elements of synchronicity that humans may stumble upon is pattern recognition, recognizing patterns. There could be patterns in the sun. There could be patterns like described in the Matrix, which could also be a metaphor, where the cat is seen twice. And Neo asked the question, did I just see a cat, black cat, cross my path twice? It's a metaphor within the movie, but in the real world that we're in, there are patterns. There are patterns. Now, we are a melting pot of souls here on Earth. So, for some of us, this isn't our first rodeo. Some of us are quickly relearning old techniques that we've mastered in the past. And this lifetime, we're also gifted with knowledge, especially in this tube reality. Not everybody appreciates it, but in this tube reality, we have access to other souls in human form sharing their truth. We're in the past, the time and effort that was required to write a book, and for that book to be printed out, maybe written, maybe multiple times, maybe even carved in stone, maybe even carved in stone by those that walk this land, including this very specific land and park that I'm at now. Those that walked here before us. Some claim to even be able to still hear them and their villages and their women, men, and children laughing and playing. Sometimes when we harvest the rainwater like today, there's almost a music or a symphony to the nature that we're engaged in. Something beautiful about it. You know, there's a reason why I collect some books years in advance before I even begin to read them. It's a sense of intuitive, like picking a card, any card, and knowing that even if at this dot in the time-space reality, that may not be the most relevant, eventually it may, and so will all things of the written word. My friend Angelus left me a movie before she left, and when she left, I felt that sense of loneliness, being back, and also maybe withdrawal from the grid energy. That's right. Our energy fields do need adjustments between trips, locations that we stay, beds that we sleep on. It may have been a clean place that we were at. It's my honor to stay there, also share that experience with you and the thoughts that I had there, but also to reflect on the state of consciousness of Alex Ansary in that environment, being actually closer to others, people that are on vacation. It's one of the things that's kind of somewhat fresh about Colorado and some of the parts in it. There are people that are coming and going from other places because Colorado at the moment is in, maybe not as in as it used to be, to a point where the future seems uncertain, especially as it continues to grow. But the seeds that I attempt to grow within this state are different than the seeds that are commonly sold at your local Ace Hardware, Walmart, or medical marijuana dispensary. There's nothing wrong with growing those things and the things of this world that we consume, but they're also those crops of consciousness, those topics, those angles, those perspectives, those ideas that other humans, for whatever reason, are going to turn away from. Okay, and that's their choice. If they're going to speak about certain things in a group, using similar keywords, simply using YouTube and the internet for certain things. Myself and my vision for otbtv.net, you can sign up for $5 a month. There's an easy option there right now. You can also join Patreon or VHX. What motivates me is different. You know, I see the world and how it's transforming and how the people are transforming, how beautiful nature is, and yet how disconnected people are from nature itself, even if their online social media avatars and their online personas seem to be in support of the organic or the all natural. The nature, though, of human groupthink doesn't seem so natural. It doesn't seem so conducive to positive change. All the competition now, even for likes, we see people that put on a mask as if they stand with the earth spirit, as if they stand against the archons, which have captured, according to the Gnostic Sophia, the earth spirit. One of the things that I enjoy doing in my own life is attempting to see all things, whether it be about myself, things that need to improve, but also the world. I seek to see reality as it is. And the reality as it is right now, as beautiful as it might be, and it is beautiful, so we're captives in the slave trade, in this galactic slave trade, in this reality where it's as if Earth is a prisoner, and all the beautiful fairy-like creatures multidimensionally within the Earth matrix, we are attempting to set ourselves free. We are not at war with the Earth. We are not here to say that this is all that we are to be, that this is the pinnacle of human progress. What is progress to some elements of human society is absolute decay to other forces of spirit that either look down on humanity or look at humanity to the side, not from a position of being a predator, but being in a psychological, spiritual position of looking at humanity from a state of sorrow and pity and realization that when mankind falls and the earth, so do other forms of existence. So it is relevant. What we do here and what we allow to happen affects other things in our world and our reality, right? People could say that they're not affected by the things taking place overseas, for example. They're not doing those things. But even the reality that we have allowed these criminal governments to go so far rogue, not only are people dying, but the earth is being polluted by pollutants like depleted uranium that are reported to be here for the next 1,000,000 years at least, likely longer. That the weapons of war that these human governments, human populations, in many cases support, are destroying the earth. And thus, this beautiful park could be visited by people that act like they respect the spirits, that act like they respect the earth, while they go home and watch Fox News, while they go home and go online and continue the same behavior that is right in line with the frequency of that which is already raping the earth itself. We have people violently being removed off this planet with no one to speak for them. And there are humans that act like they have the gall to say that they respect and love the earth. In reality, they continue to take. They continue to work magi in many cases. Things that were discovered by humans that came before them. And instead of attempt to use that magi to bring awareness to people that are suffering, it's about wealth. It's about people putting on avatars on social media as if they are spiritual leaders, political leaders, and all things of the mind. We are responsible for keeping a healthy mind, body, and spirit, but that will not be done by allowing the institutions and the programming of this world to do it for us. So find a spiritual practice that works for you. My friend and I, we debate over things that may work or may not work. I believe that it is true that various systems on their own are incomplete on their own. It could take a lifetime to learn various teachings that at one point may come together, where everything comes together, where a lifetime of knowledge comes together. Somebody can learn one particular style or something, the steps in motion that begin to create the puzzle piece, but the puzzle piece on its own makes no sense. It's when the various puzzle pieces are brought together that maybe an image or a word appears, and maybe that needs to be complete first, and maybe it says something clear about where the key is hidden, metaphorically and literally, where the code literally is broken once all the components come together. Are we not here to do that? To break the codes of the matrix? When we begin to identify the archons, and we can see literally their involvement around the world. How many times have you seen people that talk about the archons? How often do they directly implicate the military-industrial complex and its activities? Notice how people have almost deliberately tried to keep those two issues separate, and yet people automatically believe these other people on YouTube are attempting to lead them towards the truth. Okay? If we're to be led to the truth about breaking the codes of the matrix, then we are to face those flaws about ourselves. There could be a number of things, including the realization that they want us to be afraid of them. And there's different programs. There's sub-programs to that. There could be some people that are targeted in ways that other people are not. They could even program some of you to think that I'm attacking you if I talk about some of my own experiences with the lesser conscious audience members. Our world is so limited with the belief systems and the automatic programming that is built in to today's average human being, to where unless there is serious work done spiritually, the programming will take over like autopilot. Even the point where maybe one part of the consciousness is suppressed by another part of the consciousness. So I talk to you about relationships from a perspective that no other human has. Eve Lorgan comes close and has done a lot herself. There may be some other men that I don't know about that may have blogs or YouTube channels or books, or maybe they talked about it in the past. I think that it's important to not let religious doctrine tell us exactly how things are. And I can say that without having a war with anyone or any religion. I don't have to support the demonization of Muslims. At the same time, I don't have to be one. Same thing goes for Christians. I denounce those that attack Christians just because they're Christian. I also don't pay attention to those that haven't looked at belief systems outside of their own. Some people literally believe that they're worshiping God, but they're not. When people are led into belief systems that tell them that it's all right to be on a witch hunt for people that don't think like you. The Catholics did this in their hunt for the Gnostics. And today, you have people that will attack anyone attempting to discuss the nature of reality because it's an age-old tradition. In a world where there's nothing new under the sun, the continuation of the program takes place online. Therefore, advice for any true speaker, someone that may embark on speaking of the truth, is to not allow yourself to be distracted by the trappings of ego, those that may like you or your content, as well as the opposite. Continue to speak the truth, because some humans may truly be tasked as if there's some sort of a cosmic judge or court. I said this in a recent video. Other humans may not understand our task here, our role here. It's not for them to understand. It's not for them on a number of levels. Okay? They are not the ones that we are here to impress. So, to truly understand the nature of the true creator of the universe is to understand a God that is beyond a punishing one, that wants us to be in fear of him, right? That I do not believe is the true creator. And there are people that act more like they are possessed by an entity when they feel that their own religious programming warrants some abuse of someone else that won't join their club. You should also pay attention for the people in our world that are solely critics of religions because they see them as competition. And so some people do go on these long-winded rants that also have their own organizations or have personal lives and dealings with people in which they want to be revered as if they are a deity. There are many men and women walking amongst us that want to be treated like princes and princesses, right? The devil's biggest trick is getting the men and women to act like gangbangers, and they get them to act superior about their gender. So they put down all the women, or they'll put down all the men, or maybe they'll get the men and women together of a particular ethnicity, and they'll get them to gang up on another ethnicity. Maybe they'll feed them some sort of ideology. Oh, I don't know, if they're being invaded by humans that aren't as good as them. So you can literally see parallels between the trappings and how they've made some elements of racism attractive, as well as sexism. And when you realize they're playing out the same forces, if you're truly on the path of light, then you will attempt to transcend that division. And you will be going beyond the gender war dichotomy. Okay? So it's about going outside the box of the illusions of separation. Okay, we are separated by appearance and a number of other things. Some things we really can't control in this world. But what we do have the ability to control, right, is how we're going to act and conduct ourselves with whatever genetic spacesuit that we are temporarily given, whether it's 70 years, 80 years, 90. And I think people really need to come to terms with the reality of, well, not only in the afterlife, but what it really means to live before one dies. I remember saying the words that got me kicked out of jury duty. A number of different things, but I spoke my truth to perhaps people that didn't want to hear my truth. But I was reminded there and then that even if I have this beautiful nature behind me, just by being alive today, that courts can summon me to make a judgment against another citizen unless they free me as an unstable slave. Whereas in the real world, to be evolved and to have a heart and to be tapped into that which is the true creator, I'm not a follower of any religion, nor am I at war with any follower of any religion. Some people follow religions, many people do in fact, that find something in this YouTube channel because they are not being attacked. The fundamentalist mentality that seems to be spreading throughout our planet, other forms of extremism. I offer a more spiritual outlook on our world. And it's not a religion. It's simply how I am surviving the literal isolating experience that I live each and every day, with the exception of an annual visit from a friend, right? And now that I can see a sea of fake friends behind me in my past that I no longer summon or will call out to again in the future. Not in this YouTube channel, not on VHX, not on anywhere else. As I said to Angelus, I feel that something really big happened in this year. We are, as we are accelerating forward, there is a separation in consciousness. And some people want to remain at a certain level. Some hosts, for example, online, will tell their audiences what they want to hear because it's marketing, it's about clicks and hits, it's about the next sell, it's about buy now. Where am I doing that? If you want to contribute to my work, and there are very few that do, I want to thank Jared and others that are regular contributors. I want to thank others that have donated in the past. But what I do and the people that I reach, it's a much smaller engagement than others. And I appreciate it if you like this channel and if you think that more people should be tapped in. But the truth is that they're not. It's not your fault. But in the greater reality of things, maybe it was meant for me to live harder, if you will, rougher, if you will, to keep it real. You know what I mean? There may be a reason why we live without certain luxuries, because compromise is not an option. Maybe there's a reason why early on in life, when we do dumb things and we get involved with the wrong crowd, that something happens that arrests us, if you will, either literally or metaphorically, where we are arrested in our tracks early on in life and schooled early on in life, because the value of that lifetime in getting it right. I'm gonna make this pause at this time and bring into focus the things that I'm gonna be saying in the next video when we get to the top. But it's important that you realize the things that you need to be doing in your own life, that you have your eye on the prize. And there's a lot of motivational lectures and talks that are out there, but so much of that energy and prana is focused so wildly at having anything that you can have in this world. And I see a world where people have everything on a material level, including maybe even someone in their corner, like a loved one, and they may still be miserable. Hell, I know there are people that have obsessed on me, a single male that lives alone with much less than them, and they have things. That's also helped cure that part of me that thinks that by having something outside of myself, like a SO or a significant other, that's going to fill me. Seeing so many men that have great people in their lives that are clearly unfulfilled